6% of the state lacks access to high-speed internet. The FCC data showed in 2017 that gap widened all throughout the valley, but especially in Union County, where an estimated 21% lack such access. Why or why not is the availability of broadband internet critical in rural, unserved, and underserved parts of our county, here in Union County? And what steps, if any, should county government take to address that issue?
I think it's become the expectation that broadband should be available to everyone. I mean, from an educational standpoint, from a telemedicine standpoint, safety standpoint, we've just become used to being able to have our cell phones be available to us, or through Wi-Fi, have access to the internet anywhere. That's difficult in rural counties. Largely because of the terrain and the expense to get either copper wire or fiber optic cable out to give us enough broadband speed out into these sparsely occupied areas of the county, and particularly with the mountains and so on. So Union County has taken an initial step. We have underwritten a study that will determine, actually using microwaves, what portion of the county we're going to be able to reasonably serve with using microwaves. It won't be the entire county at the outset. I'm hopeful that in the years that come by that we'll be able to fill in all the gaps behind the mountain areas and so on. But it's a start. And the anticipation is that we should be able to get maybe 60 or 75% of the county early on.
Union County Commissioners went 8 years without a tax increase before a slight increase entering 2017. The board held the line in the past 2 budget years since. Are there any scenarios that you can imagine where a tax increase would be unavoidable? And do you foresee that playing out over the next 4-year term?
I don't see right now. I mean, we have much more sophisticated financial information and have put policies and practices into place to create reserves so that we can avoid any kind of surprises that would create a tax increase in terms of normal operations. So even if a roof blows off or something like that, I mean, we'll be able to cover that cost. What we can't anticipate and therefore plan around are the unfunded mandates that come down from the state and federal government. So right off the bat, they're talking about making us buy new elections equipment for the 2020 elections. That's a $500,000 to $600,000 proposition for Union County. Whether we can absorb that into our budget in 2020 without a tax increase, we'll just have to wait and see. But those are the things that that by and large are going to create that problem. I am not going to sit here and say that we will never ever again have a tax increase. That would be foolhardy. Costs continue to go up, and you'd have to assume that the assessed value of the real estate would be increasing at that same pace in order to avoid just the cost crunch. But I think we're doing pretty well. We're on very solid financial footing right now.
What do you believe to be the most pressing issue facing Union County residents, and do you have a plan to address it?
Well, I think there's a couple pressing issues. For sure, the opioid crisis is endemic, and it's not just Union County. It's everywhere. I don't think there are any easy answers. There's a lot of organizations that are doing their best to try to figure out a way to stem the tide of this stuff. But it's education. It's rehab. It's it's getting doctors to understand not to prescribe opioids. And I think that the medical community is finally reacting positively, but it's a scary prospect, and when it moves on from opioids to fentanyl and street drugs, that's dangerous stuff. So that's one issue, and I think right now, I mean, we can all talk about economic development, but the irony right now is that Union County's unemployment rate is 3.2%, and that is pretty well below what's considered to be full employment at 4%. So any increase in the need for the workforce, new companies moving in, companies here expanding, the impact's going to be inflationary. Now, that's good for the worker. It's not so great for the employers, but that's the kind of the situation we're in right now. I think that we really need to focus as much attention on economic expansion. Let me reverse that. I think we have to focus as much attention on workforce development as we do on economic expansion. I mean, the creation of jobs is not really at the forefront in my mind, but I think that having a trained workforce that will be able to respond to even just the needs of our own employers is critical. And there's things that are happening that will help that. There's the career pathways that Sunvotech and CareerLink and so on and so forth are involved in that are addressing that.
And so I'm going to reverse it myself. I asked you what you think the most pressing need is. What about under the radar issue? What's like an issue facing Union County residents that really isn't being spoken about much or hasn't gotten much coverage?
That's a really interesting question. Union County is doing so well in so many respects. We were just named the healthiest county in the state of Pennsylvania for I think the 5th time since 2011. We have a really pretty vibrant economy, and I think we've addressed the kind of the hard issues. But if you were to look at Union County, you would think that we are just being very successful in most all respects. But there's an underbelly of people in real need, and sometimes that we forget that there's some folks that are homeless. There's some folks that just can't seem to scrape enough money together to pay their bills, and I think we constantly need to be able to understand that and figure out ways to help these folks. That's something. There's organizations like the Community Action Agency, for instance, that deals with that. I sit on that jointer board with my fellow commissioners from both Union and Snyder counties, and they do a lot of great work and are sometimes just not thanked enough.
Why should county voters re-elect you?
Well, I think that, first of all, I do think that experience matters, and I have almost 10 years of experience. It's not a job that you learn overnight. There's a lot of people, and myself included, that come into this job thinking, well, I have a lot of experience in business, and therefore this should be kind of a snap. But county government is a government. It's not business. I think that my experience and skills in finance and human resources and technology that I've honed over many years of being in business are certainly applicable here. And but it's not just that either. I think it's an understanding of how government works, how you serve people. And there's a couple things that I am pretty passionate about that I want to see through, not the least of which is the 911 consolidation. That's in its really its infancy right now. The ability to be able to fund the rail trail without having any tax impact on the county citizens is pretty exciting. That's not directly the county, but I have a real interest in seeing that one through. I mean, the experience and what I can continue to offer the county and the taxpayers. I think that collectively the three commissioners have done a good job. We've been able to work together in the spirit of cooperation and common sense and decency, and that's something that I think I can help bring to the commissioners, so.
John, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Sure thing, Eric, thank you.